Greetings from the city of brotherly love. I am Fernando Mendez, host of the Roundtable. We invite you to listen to our discussion of the themes of the day when we bring you regional, national, and international news. Señoras y señores de Usala Radio, estamos aquí de nuevo con su programa La Mesa Redonda de Roundtable, desde el corazón de la ciudad del amor fraternal, from the city of brotherly love. Les habla Fernando Mendez, Dani Ramos controla la máquina digital. Tenemos una invitada especial, Carolina DiGiorgio, CEO of Congreso.
Buenos días, buenos días.
Buenos días. How many hats do you wear for Congreso? Just one? CEO?
Just one.
Solamente la jefa máxima.
La jefa máxima.
Muy bien, Carolina, qué gusto.
Igualmente.
Tanto tiempo. Creo
te extraño muchísimo, don Fernando.
Desde que, yo también, mira, desde que empezó el COVID, ¿no? Y luego, no sé, yo dije que yo quería volver a la junta directiva del Congreso. Eso es lo que voy a hacer.
That's what you're going to have to do to see me.
Nada más que para poder verte. Carolina, a lot of things have happened. Mucho ha ocurrido.
Sí.
Desde la última vez que hablamos en este programa. Primero que todo, pues, el tópico número uno es COVID. Y esta versión Omicron, que es la que está la dominante ahora. Es algo bastante serio para gente que no está vacunada.
Uh-huh.
Sobre todo. Y ese es un problema. Yo quiero encontrar un clip, debe estar en YouTube, de un señor gritando, está en el programa de Jimmy Fallon, en NBC, y este individuo gritando, usted es un morón si no usa una máscara. Pero es verdad, ¿no? Bueno, por lo menos, como mínimo, use una máscara.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yo uso máscara cuando voy a cualquier sitio para entrar a una droguería, entrar a una tienda de cualquier tipo, voy a comprar víveres en una tienda, yo llevo una máscara. Lo mínimo que uno puede hacer.
Sí, yo después de vacunarme, yo dejé de usarla por un momentito y pues luego regresé porque con el Omicron y todo, pues sentí que estaba más segura usando la máscara y también en Congreso todos tienen que usar máscara, no importa si están vacunados o no.
Exacto, eso sobre todo si hay gente que no está vacunada,
Uh-huh.
con más razón deben usar la máscara. Pero hay que ver los ejemplos, ¿no? Y ahí está este Supreme Court Judge Gorsuch, refuses to use a mask. No quiere ponerse una mascarilla. Y resulta que la jueza Sotomayor es muy vulnerable. Ella tiene asma, no sé qué otra cosa.
Uh-huh.
Y entonces ahora no puede sentarse en ese banco donde se sientan ellos. Ella hace todo remoto desde su oficina en la Corte Suprema. Es un absurdo eso.
Sí, yo pienso que la gente debe ser más considerada porque uno no sabe las condiciones o la salud de otra gente. Entonces, especialmente si están trabajando juntos y son parte del mismo team, es importante. También todo el mundo tiene el derecho de privacidad, entonces sin tener que preguntar si alguien tiene algo especial o una consideración especial, uno debe usar las máscaras para demostrar que uno tiene la consideración que uno debe tener para la gente.
Yeah, but you would assume the Supreme Court justices, they'll at least vaccinated or at least wear a mask if they're not vaccinated. I mean, like, come on.
Yeah, I think, who knows, right? I guess they may or may not be vaccinated. I'm not sure. I haven't checked. I don't know if they've been public about their status, but when you're in, like I said, when you're on a team, when you're in close quarters, being considerate of others and taking the precautions at Congresso. As I mentioned, we're all wearing masks when we're on site. We still social distance. We still, do the hygiene, take the screening before you can enter the building. So we're trying to be considerate of all. Um, because, like I said, you don't know each individual's health status, special considerations that they may need. So taking the precautions is important.
Yeah, the numbers I've seen supposedly declining in some cities,
Hmm.
New York, for instance. Um, Philly is still, the numbers were growing the last time I looked, but it's mostly because there are people who are not vaccinated. That's what the problem is. But masks are required anywhere here. For restaurants, for instance, to enter a restaurant, well, obviously, once you sit inside the restaurant,
Yeah.
remove.
Yeah, it's difficult to tell because so many of us are vaccinated. I am vaccinated and I did receive a booster, and we're still getting COVID again. So it is, people have a lot of different opinions about whether the vaccine prevents Omicron. I think we've seen a lot of information that conflicts and it confuses people. And I think that's part of understanding is getting the right information, getting accurate information in dual language so that everyone can understand in their own native language what the right thing to do is. But it's difficult, it's hard, it's complicated, and people have a lot of personal opinions and a lot of um, their own values. I know at Congresso, I have a large employee base, 200 employees, and everybody has an opinion, and they're not all the same. And that's just a microcosm of the world, right? Of the United States. So it's difficult to lead and make everybody happy if you're in a decision making role. But getting accurate information, the media, Don Fernando, you have an important role to play in getting information out and making sure people are aware.
Exactly. I mean, that's why we're careful with the information we put out here.
Hmm.
And look, people who say with certainty what COVID is about, what Omicron is about, and they're certain of their knowledge, I don't trust those people. If people who are the scientists, they
Hmm.
say, for the most part, this is what happens. I am not sure what happens 100%, but
Hmm.
this is what I know. So that's Dr. Fauci speaking about COVID, about Omicron, about how the contagio, the
Hmm.
way it spreads around, how. But he's not expressing definite opinions about this. A lot of these politicians who are saying, "Oh, that's not what happened." Well, no, they don't know. The scientists are the ones who are investigating, and they are not certain. They are looking at Omicron right now. They don't even know uh,
Yeah.
100% what happens with it.
Yeah. No, I have always taken this approach. If I am not the expert and I am not in the room, I really do not try to judge or hold judgment against anyone. And I respect the expertise and the research that's gone in. That's why he's a doctor and I am not. And so we rely on these experts for that information. And I think you also have to give a lot of grace. We're all encountering this together for the first time, so there is not a lot to lean on historically. I mean, we've seen other viruses come through, but this one is different, and so I don't think it's accurate to hold judgment or to pass judgment on some of these scientists who are working really hard for our greater good and our health. And
Right.
it's important to to read, to understand, do your own research. I always do, and we're all learning. It's unfortunately we are all encountering this, like I said, for the first time together, and we're all learning together.
Right, but now your role as a CEO, as the person in command, is to establish some rules and enforce the rules. These are the rules. We know masks work. We know that they help to prevent spreading the virus around. So if they work, we make them compulsory. I mean, like everybody who enters a building should have a mask on, period. And if you're in touch with other people in the building, you better be wearing a mask.
Yeah, we are following the CDC guidelines at Congreso. We are not scientists or doctors, and so we are leaning on the experts' advice on guiding us through this. And like I said, we're a big agency. We have a lot of different opinions. Some of the agency protocols may conflict with an individual's personal opinion on something, but notwithstanding, we enforce the CDC guidelines. That is the guidance that we're looking to for clarity.
Yeah. Oh, I imagine, because there are people who have objections because of religion. One I do not understand. I'm sorry, I don't know what God wants you to die, but if that is what your religion is about, then go ahead.
Don Fernando, come
What?
on.
If your God says don't wear a mask because it's against your religion, I mean,
Well, everybody's different, and we
I
respect.
would change religions right away.
Well, you have that right? Thank God we live in America, and you have that freedom and that right. But we do respect, religious exemptions. We respect individualism and differences of opinions, and we are doing our best to respect choices. And when it comes to health and your own personal household, it's your home, it's your body, it's your health. Now, that said, Congreso has been a facilitator of communication for COVID vaccines and boosters. Our federally qualified health clinic, which is right on our first floor. And I invite any listener to come if they need a vaccine or a COVID test or a primary care health services. It is at 216 West Somerset, and we have proudly been able to vaccinate thousands of individuals in our community and continue to share information on our social media about the availability of testing and sites and healthcare services. So
that's great. Have you been able to help people with testing, with finding tests?
Yeah, so I mean, it's been difficult the last couple of weeks. Obviously, everybody's been encountering an inability to get tested. I myself, I had to find an at-home kit. I bought it from a mother who's a friend of my son's. So it was very difficult to find testing and to find these at-home kits. Yesterday, in case people hadn't seen it, the federal government is now mailing free tests to your home. So you can sign up on the federal government CDC website just by putting your name and your address, and they'll mail you 4 testing kits. So that's important information to share. But it's been tough. So Congreso did have a little bit of a struggle finding tests and being able to be available for the community. But we're doing our best, understanding the challenges that we're all encountering.
Sí, el gobierno está ofreciendo ahora hasta 4 de estas pruebas, esos test para cada familia, ¿no? Cada familia está...
It's residential address.
Sí. Muy bien. Bueno, Carolina, vamos a tomar una breve pausa y al otro lado de esta, I'll have some other questions for you that... with your expertise, I'm counting on you to answer.
Okay.
Señores oyentes de Usala Radio, estamos aquí en la mesa redonda. Les habla Fernando Mendez en compañía de Carolina DiGiorgio, CEO of Congreso. Dani Ramos controla la máquina. Regresamos en un momento.
Encuentra el bosque más cercano en descubreelbosque.org. El bosque, más cerca de lo que crees.
And we're back. Señores oyentes de Usala Radio, les habla Fernando Mendez en compañía de Carolina DiGiorgio, CEO of Congreso, and Danny Ramos controla este programa. Bueno, Carolina, as I said, I count on your expertise to answer some of these questions.
You're scaring me.
No, this is really a tough question for you. For people who don't know all the things Congreso does, so could you tell us some of the, because I know you have several divisions, I know you have restructured Congreso over the years, and things that Congreso used to be known for have changed, the introduction of the Pan American Charter School, among other things. Mm-hmm. So could you give us the 30-second elevator speech?
Sure. Yes, Congreso, still located at 216 West Somerset. We centralize our services into 5 core areas: parenting, housing, health, education, and workforce. And in those 5 areas, we work with city funders and external funders and partners to deliver services in each, including things like financial literacy, first-time home buying, domestic violence, truancy, GED testing. We have several workforce credentialing programs, including commercial driver's licensing, and a couple of new programs that will be kicking off for medical training assistants, EMT. We also have a partnership with Harcum College, which allows individuals to come in and get their associate's degree here at Congresso's campus. And we also have a partnership with Penn State, which allows high school students to come in and get college credit courses on campus at Congreso. In addition, we do operate the health center, which is what you're seeing on the screen, where we provide primary care services along with HIV and AIDS services. We also founded the Pan American Academy Charter School, which sits on our campus just a block down, where the school offers dual language education from kindergarten through 8th grade, and that is led by Dr. Darcy Risotto, the wonderful, wonderful school. And we're privileged to continue to partner with them, their children, and their families to support the families. Congreso is now a $24 million agency, so we have a number of funding partners, as I mentioned, including city, state, and federal governments and external partners that we work with to design and serve our community. We've been working really, strategically through this virtual hybrid environment, but we are open. You can certainly contact us via social media through Facebook, Messenger. You can call, you can stop in, and we will get you to the right person.
Excellent. Yeah, and that was almost the 30-second elevator speech that I asked. I must say, not to inject me into this conversation.
It's all about you. It's all about you.
But I am very proud of having been instrumental in the Pan American Charter School. Mm-hmm. I remember when we introduced that idea with the former head of the board, mm-hmm. Ken Trujillo. When we introduced the idea, and there were many members of the board saying, no, that's not what we do. That's not what we're known for. We're risking our brand, blah, blah, blah. And there were a couple of us very stubborn about this is what we're going to do. And oddly enough, one of the people in opposition was Pedro Ramos, which mm-hmm. is ironic because he ended up in charge of the educational system in the city. That was funny, but yeah, everybody came around eventually, and look what we have now.
Yes,
it's a great.
Yes, risks. Risks are hard, and a board of directors is responsible for, the reputation and the strategic plan of the organization. But I'm glad that you all. I was not on the board at the time, but I'm glad that you all decided to pursue this. It's been a gift to our community and a beautiful and loving place for kids to get an education.
Yeah, I even gave it the name, by the way. So
Did you?
Yeah, that was my idea. So um,
I didn't know that.
I think it's better because the idea was that it would be not just for the Puerto Rican community, which is dominant community in the area, but for everybody. And that was the whole idea of the Pan American name.
Absolutely. And you do see diversity in the school as you are seeing at Congreso. So, still largely Latino population that we serve, but also serve Black and African American community, Asian, whites, anyone who walks in and needs support, we are there with open arms to help and serve.
Now, as far as having a health department, what is the name of that division?
I'm sorry?
You have a division that's concerned with the health of
yes.
people. So what?
Yes. So it was formerly known as Health Promotion and Wellness, and it offered services including domestic violence, HIV and AIDS counseling. But we restructured, and now all of those health services now live together with our health center. So the primary care services and pediatric care services are now together with other social service programs like the HIV and AIDS case management, the domestic violence. And so it made a lot more sense to group them all together in the spirit of, wellness and health. And so we're excited. We just actually kicked that restructure off in the last couple of months, and we relocated our health clinic. It used to be off-site on Lehigh, and in partnership with PHMC, we relocated it back on site to Congreso's headquarters, which is a great place. It's a beautiful, beautiful facility, and we're excited to have it back home.
Great. That's one of those things, along with education, along with all the other things Congreso does, that requires money. So how are we doing with funding?
Yes. So Congreso, for the community to know, is about 80% government funded, which means that the government allocates dollars towards our services through contracts that are renewed annually. Sometimes they're multi-year. The remainder of our budget comes through private donations, corporate sponsors, individual donors, which we could always use more of. So thank you for the opportunity to say, if you're interested in donating to a wonderful cause that is serving the most needy, please consider making a gift to Congreso. You can check out our website, congreso.net. We have a Venmo. We're on LinkedIn, all of the social media platforms, Twitter. But in order to give us the flexibility to be able to support some of these programs, you do need unrestricted dollars. And you do need to be able to fund a very lean but strong administrative team, which includes our fiscal team, our data and evaluation team, our facilities, our human resources, and our external affairs, which does the advocacy and the stakeholder work. We're really blessed, I would say, in Philadelphia to have such a strong corporate community and partners like PICO and Comcast and Independence Blue Cross and so many others that contribute to Congreso. And so we're thankful for them, Aramark, each and every day for their partnerships, not just in services, but in the opportunity to share with us unrestricted dollars to allow us that flexibility to design our programs.
So this is probably a good time to mention one of the main sources for this unrestricted money, which I suppose if you make any profit from the gala, the Congreso Gala, which is one of the traditional forms of raising money.
Yes. So the gala this year has been scheduled for May 6th. It's Friday, May 6th. So everyone hold the date. It was typically done earlier in the year, but we pushed it back just given Omicron and some of the restrictions and just waiting to see and obviously putting the health of our guests first. So the gala is a beautiful black tie event hosted by the Bellevue. And we typically do raise a couple $100,000 via this event. It is our biggest fundraiser, and we really rely on it for those unrestricted dollar donations to come in. It's a lot of work to put together, but it's a great time It's amazing to see so many people attend and network and see one another, and of course, dance the night away. As you know, Don Fernando, it's just a spectacular event.
It is. I missed that event the last couple of years. So
Hmm.
I'm happy you changed the date too, because it will be warmer
Yes.
in May. So yeah, and probably a chance that by then maybe Omicron has been under control. I don't know how that's going to happen. The,
Yeah.
the, um,
We really wanted to have an in-person event, and so we decided to push it back in hopes that we're able to do that.
yeah, and the theme is tango, right? Argentina,
It is Argentina, yes.
which is I found out from my friend Dario Belot.
Hmm.
Um, and one of the performers is a person well known to us at Usala, Meredith Klein. I don't know if you have already agreed that she will be the main event, but it sort of makes sense. She's a great representative of tango music in this
Yes.
region. So
Yes, we are right now. We are putting the program together, and Dario has certainly connected us along with some other, uh, well-known Argentine members of the community to vendors, dancers, chefs, and restaurants that reflect the culture and the beauty of Argentina. And so we're looking forward to putting that program together and also having a VIP reception where we will hopefully be privileged to have the consulate and ambassadors of Argentina attend with us and share a little bit about what's happening in Argentina and the relations between Argentina and the United States.
oh, that would be great. Do
Hmm.
you know that was suggested for the first gala, the first Congreso gala?
Yeah, what
One of
happened? Anybody listen to you?
one of the topics was why don't we have Argentina as the
Oh,
main
okay. Yes,
top,
yes, yes.
and then somehow it didn't happen, and it didn't happen for how many years?
For many years,
What
yes.
number is this now?
You know what? Between the two virtual years, I don't know if we should count them. I think it's like 13 or 14. I'm
Yeah,
not sure. I lost track.
yeah, I don't know, but yes, has been postponed for a lot, many times. One of
Yeah.
my favorites was Brazil. Oddly enough,
Yes, that was a
that
beautiful
was
event.
a great.
I always remember when we did Medellin. Do you remember? That
The
was
Ying
a
was another one, yes.
beautiful one.
The theme of the flowers and all that.
Yes,
That was
yes, it was
wonderful.
gorgeous.
So yeah, looking forward to this. I hope
Yes,
you get a good response for Argentina. You should.
I think so. So Friday, May 6th, everyone, hold the date.
And there's great interest in tango.
Hmm.
It, interest has revived. Even in Argentina, tango had lost its luster for a while.
Oh
There
yeah.
was almost a whole generation of Argentines who did not dance tango or know much about it,
Mhm.
but it has been there has been a revival of tango.
That's great. Yeah, we're starting to look at there's the typical traditional dress and outfits that they wear, and we are seeing the dance also performed in sort of a street sort of version that I think connects with the younger generations.
You need a gaucho and you need a couple of guitars or something like that.
Yeah.
That'd be wonderful. Uh, well, see how time flies when you're having fun. And so we're going to have to take another brief pause here en Usala Radio. Estamos en compañía de Carolina DiGiorgio, CEO of Congreso. Les habla Fernando Mendez, Dani Ramos controla la máquina. Regresamos en un momento.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move. So I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Señores oyentes de Usala Radio, estamos aquí de nuevo con su programa La Mesa Redonda, desde el corazón de la ciudad del amor fraternal. Les habla Fernando Mendez, en compañía de Carolina DiGiorgio, CEO of Congreso. Danny Ramos controla este programa. I did send you city and state information that I wanted to add, a couple of items. One of them, Congreso, as I recall, was involved in advocacy, mostly about the right to vote and promoting that, promoting the census also. And those two things are connected. But now, in Pennsylvania, a Senate panel advanced legislation that would create a new congressional map for the Commonwealth. Though negotiations on a map are still ongoing, meaning changes will likely be made before the map ends up on Governor Tom Wolf's desk. That's one of the things that we should be concerned about, because, the Latino community, one of the attempts by the dominant Republican Party is to sort of create these districts where Latinos can be divided, I guess, so that we don't have as much political power. So that's the end game, and there is a need to defend that, the right to vote, and that's one of the things that I suppose Congress is still lobbying in favor of our rights to vote, right?
Yes. Yeah. So on many initiatives, we've been a part of, again, sharing information, particularly when the census did come around. We were a very key player in sharing information, making sure that people did fill out the census, understanding it, again, so that they were able to answer the questions appropriately, knowing what to do with the forms, et cetera. And we made it a concerted effort as an organization to promote the census, as we do with voting, each time that there is an election. In fact, Election Day is now a paid day off for our employees in order to encourage voting from our employee base. Congreso is also a voting site, and so we are always sharing information about how to locate, the appropriate voting site for your residential address. We're always sharing information about how to register to vote. We facilitate and host, community meetings by candidates. We do not endorse candidates, but we welcome opportunities to discuss issues with anyone that is interested in coming in and talking about their platforms, because it's important for people to receive information and to have opportunities to talk. Voting, I'm sure you would agree, is what makes this country so wonderful. The right to vote, to express, your opinions individually is critical to our foundation, and it is one of the rights that we each have as American citizens to be able to make a change, and to influence the way our country is headed. And, over the last couple of years, you've seen, voting increase. I think we still have a lot of work to do, in the Latino communities on that, but we are always a proud partner to support voting rights and voter registration.
Yeah, I remember with the census, there was a problem because many people are afraid, still afraid of that information going to immigration, to ICE, and concerned that there'll be a knocking on the door from ICE if they give out information. So
yes, I remember as well.
I think part of the role of Congreso and other agents was to dispel that fear, because it's legitimate. I mean,
it is legitimate, and it is scary. And I think anytime government has our information, it's a scary thing, which is why I personally believe in small government. But, I think it's a legitimate fear, and I hope that Congreso continues to be, and we will, facilitator and intermediary of communication, accurate information. We really do try to take our time before we share something, to do our own research, to verify the sources, to make sure our community is getting accurate information.
That's correct. Well, I guess you know, like everybody who lives in Philly, that there's a tremendous increase in crime,
Mm,
and we would like to have the police commissioner,
mm,
to talk to us here,
yes.
because there's, usually um, the kind of information we get from the media is all about the cases that have occurred, uh, how many people died, how many
Yeah.
assaults, etc. Now, what is in vogue? Apparently, I I just read something from the police commissioner, I think, uh, about carjacking.
Mm, mhm, mhm.
So
Yes,
that's it's
yes.
amazing that in this day and age that we have to worry about that. And actually, a friend of mine was carjacked recently.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear.
Yeah, fortunately, and maybe this is something we should all know. There are some cars that you can get an app that will immediately begin tracing the car, the whereabouts of the car.
Oh,
So,
really?
and
Yeah,
he had this app, and I think the thieves realized what happened, and they abandoned the car quickly. So,
yeah,
that's, two things: if somebody wants your car, give it to them.
yeah,
Your
yeah,
wallet, whatever, because you don't want to risk your life. You can always replace your car
yeah.
and
Absolutely,
your,
absolutely.
your
Yeah,
property.
I mean, the crime rates are affecting so many facets of life, from our mental health, our feeling of security in our workplaces, in our cars, in our homes, and it is really unfortunate. I did have, the privilege of chatting with Commissioner Outlaw during a virtual call with the mayor's office, and you know, she, there's a lot on her plate. And I think it's a concerted effort that everyone needs to be a part of to help reduce the crime in Philadelphia and understanding the root causes of why this criminal activity is increasing. And I think social services has a part to play, and I think the private sector has a part to play. I think everybody has a part to play in reducing crime and keeping our neighborhoods and our communities and our children, frankly, most importantly, safe. Um, in terms of Congress, I mean, we always are sharing information on our social media and to our employees about safety tips. In fact, that carjacking, I think one of our police districts had shared some tips on how to stay alert. And so we're always sharing information on how to do that. And just from a personal standpoint, I will say, Don Fernando, I'm a prepared woman for all things. And so in my car, I have what I need in case of an emergency. You just saw on the news, this is not criminal activity, but you just saw on the news people, stuck in their cars in a snowstorm on the highway for hours and hours. And so I have a
Oh,
whole emergency kit in my car. I got everything I need.
you have a blanket and water and all
I
that.
have, yes, I do. And if I get stuck on the highway with you, I'm going to share my water with you. Um, But it's scary. It's scary because we're seeing a lot in terms of climate. We're seeing a lot in terms of crime, obviously health wise. Humanity is really being faced with a lot of challenges right now, and it is overwhelming.
Yes, the message from the commissioner said it's clear that carjacking are a crime of opportunity. It's possible that
Hmm.
a change in our daily routines,
Hmm.
such as increased use of vehicles for delivery, curbside devices,
Yeah,
ride sharing, have provided increased opportunity for criminals. In addition, the COVID-19 pandemic
yeah,
has normalized mask wearing, and
yeah,
so it's more difficult to identify people.
yeah. Absolutely,
Uh,
absolutely.
before this, you would know if somebody was wearing a mask that
Sure.
was not normal.
Right.
It's like,
Right. Yeah. You would. It would be curious. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
so, and it's not unique to us. It's happening all over the
Hmm.
country.
Hmm.
It's unfortunate, but that's
It is.
um, so. They suggest that we be very careful. Last year there were 757 carjackings in Philly, and
Wow.
an increase of 34% over 2020. And out of those, 150 individuals were arrested, and 93 investigations were cleared. But it continues to increase. That's one type of crime. There's all kinds of crime, mostly with guns. And I don't know. I keep saying that someday this country will wake up and see the Second Amendment for what it should be, which is an organized militia has the right to carry weapons. Not every nut in this country. I mean, and I know all the hunters go, oh no, you can't do that. But you know what? You get a permit, you can have a gun in place, whatever. There are solutions to that. But for people to keep buying, there are more guns than people in this country right now.
Well, I think, to purchase a gun, there should be a process. There should be protocols in place, and there should be a process to ensure that the buyer is, in a position to own that gun and to use it wisely and securely.
Right.
I do think gun ownership, it is part of our nation's history, and the Second Amendment, is an important piece of our rights and our liberties. But I do think that we are seeing so many instances of abuse of guns and casualties and mistakes and intentionality in committing crimes and murder and hurting our children. And so absolutely, we need to do something across our nation to ensure the safety. The school shootings, I mean, it's too much. And I don't know what else needs to happen in order to high alert, right? I mean, I have 2 children, as you know, and the things that they have to train for in school, the things that they hear on the news, they're afraid at home and at school of what might happen, and that is no environment for any child to have to grow up in. And so we do our best as parents, but I do think that as a nation we need to come together on the issue and ensure and prioritize the safety of our kids.
Yes, otherwise we'll turn to our schools and churches and synagogues into fortresses, because that's the only way to protect ourselves.
Yeah.
I mean, we just found out with this latest incident in Texas, a British national who somehow obtained a gun and was able to hold hostages. Fortunately, no hostages died.
Right.
But it brought out the news that the rabbis all over the country are receiving training in this kind of situation. Imagine that. Everybody has to know how to be protected in place, how to evade that kind of.
It's a shame. It's a shame that's where we are. I mean, it's great to be prepared, as I mentioned before, but it's unbelievable what we have to be prepared for.
Yes, that's why these gun laws. I forget about just guns. I mean, I think eventually, since we all share this earth, eventually countries, I don't know when, 100, 200 years from now, the world would decide that, we cannot just continue killing ourselves and undo everything they have done with weapons, atomic weapons. I mean, we have. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna be 42 next week. My birthday is Tuesday, and
happy birthday ahead of time.
Gracias. And the older that I've gotten, the more I question our sanity, our humanity, our existence. And when you see things like this, you really start to wonder the purpose of life, and also when we're going to get it right. What more needs to happen for us to get it right. And I have become more and more a woman of faith, and I do pray, and I hope that we all come together.
Yeah, well, I have been reading a lot about the Stoics and reading the Marcus Aurelius Meditations.
Yes, same.
And all this whole thing about death being a part of life and all that stuff. But it's tough to reconcile our the way we are living right now with what we need to do to remain safe, to continue to protect our children. And so anyway, Carolina, we're going to take the last pause in this program today. Estamos en compañía de Carolina DiGiorgio, CEO of Congreso. Les habla Fernando Mendez. Dani Ramos controla el programa. Estamos en la mesa redonda y regresamos en un minuto.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move.
¿Qué le dijo el pollo policía al otro pollo policía? Necesitamos apoyo.
Did you hear it? Estamos de regreso aquí en la mesa redonda del Roundtable. Les habla Fernando Mendez en compañía de Carolina DiGiorgio, CEO of Congreso. Dani Ramos dirige este programa. Carolina, I don't know if you heard the ad. It's a cute ad with the little kid.
Yes.
With the little kid. ¿Qué le dijo el pollo policía al otro pollo policía? Kids. Remember when there was a program that was all about kids answering questions and the way they answered spontaneously? Anything you asked them, giving you the most ridiculous answers, but really fun.
Adorable answers.
So we almost, I would say almost, hopefully getting over this pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
And the more of us who get vaccinated, the more of a chance we have to recover. It may become chronic that we have to every year get a shot. I don't know. That doesn't worry me, but a lot of people are opposed to any kind of vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you see the immediate future? How do you see this coming right now, this coming year, in terms of recovery from pandemic, both as individuals and the families and so on, but also you direct a great institution in Congreso.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you see this immediate future coming to happen?
Yeah, I think as a society, we've looked to other countries to see what the next wave might be or the next variant might be, and I could be wrong, but I have not heard. Well, I haven't heard news about another strong variant coming and challenging us in the way that we knew about Delta and Omicron. So I'm hoping that this may be the last strong variant that we all encounter and are challenged by. And so I am hoping and I believe that with spring, comes sunshine and comes positivity and hopefully comes a little bit more freedom and an ability to see our families and come together back in the workplaces in order to really embrace life as somewhat as we knew it. It's never going to be the same again, but that's okay. And I think the pandemic, while it's been a negative on the health side, and we've lost so many family and friends and been challenged in so many ways, there has been some silver linings, I think, in the way that we live our lives and in the priorities that we've given to our families and to our lives in terms of how we choose to spend it, and recognizing and appreciating and being grateful for what we do have, I think, has been a gift that the pandemic has brought our earth, really caring about things in a more meaningful way. For Congreso specifically, I think, and I'm hoping, we've adopted a hybrid platform indefinitely. And so we were moving in this trajectory prior to the pandemic anyway. And so allowing more work-life balance for our employees, especially those that have young children, to be able to work, meet their outcomes, serve the community while also prioritizing their family has been a big initiative of mine. I have 5 children. I have, 3 stepkids and 2 of my own. And being able to be present at home with them and while also professionally achieve and excel and serve has been huge for me. And if I can establish policies and parameters to allow others to do that, it's a gift. It's a privilege that I lead this organization and prioritize that. So I am hoping, that the pandemic, weans and we're able to embrace life as spring approaches. Some of these policies and procedures that city, state, and federal governments are imposing, they are challenging for employers, and they are difficult, especially for those that do not have a lot of capacity to monitor testing and to, ensure employees are getting tested weekly. And so we'll see what those policies and protocols look like, and the imposition of that on an employer. It has been difficult, to be honest with you. It's been difficult to be in a leadership position while still driving the business of the agency, and now having this whole set of administrative protocols to have to abide by and be compliant with. And so I'm sure that's been tough on all industries and all employers. So, hopefully, if it does come down to getting vaccinated yearly, somewhat like the flu, that we move towards that collectively as a nation, and we embrace that, and hopefully the science, supports that as a clear way to keep us healthy. But I think we're always going to see a divergence in opinions and, political views and values on this issue. I think the underlying root cause there is feeling like the government is overstepping into our personal lives and our decisions. And so I think that's always going to be there. I think that's just part of the relationship between government and its citizens. And so, we have a governor's election this year coming up. We have a lot of other important elections, redistricting coming up. And so, people should get involved in their communities. I don't think the pandemic should stop you from engaging and learning and educating yourself on the issues that matter to you and your families. And then I think you should go out and you vote. And that is the way you demonstrate and you advocate, and, you talk to others and you support your community.
Are you requiring proof of vaccination at Congreso?
To work with us?
Yeah.
No, we do not have a vaccine mandate. In fact, we actually have over 80% of our employees who voluntarily chose to get vaccinated. The remainder either have exemptions or work fully remote. And so we're not requiring those 100% remote workers to be vaccinated unless they choose to. That said, we understand that, the Biden administration had come down with the OSHA regulations, and they're currently on a stay with the Sixth Circuit. And so we're waiting to hear the guidance from the courts. And we will, of course, be compliant. If it turns out that we have to impose a vaccine mandate, we will do that.
Yeah, I think if I were a dictator, I would demand everybody have a vaccine.
If you were a dictator?
Yes.
Yes. Well, good thing I'm not. So, like I said, it's difficult. I mean, it's difficult for any CEO, for anyone in HR, on an employer-based vaccine mandates. It has a lot of repercussions. And at the end of the day, like I said earlier, I respect people's decisions and the ownership that they have over their health. I don't pass judgment on an individual's choice. I made my choice for my family. We all got vaccinated. My children got vaccinated. But that was my choice to make, and so we're doing our best trying to accommodate and keep everyone safe and healthy, which is why we still have the masking, the screening, the social distancing, the cleaning, all of these other protocols to help people stay safe on site.
Yeah, see, I'm not that tolerant, and I don't have the worry that you have. So I would say, like, if your religion doesn't allow you to vaccinate, change religion.
Yes, well,
Yeah, really. No, it just makes sense. And I think eventually the government will impose more strict regulation. We already need to do that to travel.
Yes.
So it's just another step that to enter any government institution right now, any government office, you're going to need proof of vaccine and mask and whatnot. So
yeah,
it just makes sense. Join us. Be safe. Be safe.
Yes, I mean, again, everybody has their opinions, so we're doing our best at Congreso and keeping everybody safe and serving our community. We did get some pushback when we tried to find out if people were vaccinated.
Right.
There was a lot of hesitation, and I understand. I understand. In fact, I didn't personally want to know who was and wasn't, but from a compliance and employer standpoint, there was a need, and we have the right to ask as an employer. And so we've done our polls, we've done our diligence, and we're creating the right policies and procedures in place to keep everyone safe.
I would just say, show me your arm. That's it.
Yeah. Exactly. One other thing I think, I got very sick with COVID when I did get it, November of 2020, and I got very sick with each vaccine, including the booster. So, I think some people see that also, and that worries them. So I don't know. It was short lived. So
yeah. Well, I'm glad you're alive and well.
Yes, likewise.
And thank you for answering all my silly questions and even the more serious ones. It's a pleasure to have you on our show. I hope this is only the first one in 2022. We'll do more of this.
Absolutely, Don Fernando. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carolina. Señores oyentes de Usala Radio, hemos llegado al final de esta edición de La Mesa Redonda. Se despide Fernando Mendez en compañía de Carolina DiGiorgio, CEO of Congreso, and Dani Ramos was the director of the show. Los esperamos hasta la próxima. Greetings from the city of brotherly love. I am Fernando Mendez, host of the Roundtable. We invite you to listen to our discussion of the themes of the day when we bring you regional, national, and international news.